Hey there, Chris Tonis, CEO of Preeminent Recruitment here. And today I wanted to just make a brief video to talk to you a bit about your resume, some of the mistakes you might be making, some of the changes you could make right away, and fill you in on some of the current market trends that we're seeing and that can directly impact how your resume performs in getting you interviews. Now, before I dive deep into this, I want to start by just letting you know that your resume holds a lot of power. A lot of people really undervalue the impact that their resume is going to have on their job search. Now, I'm not here to tell you that your resume will correlate to you landing the job of your dreams, but I'm also not going to tell you that your resume isn't standing in the way of you getting the job of your dreams. And the reason for that is your resume is still today your first impression. Now, I saw a post recently on LinkedIn, and this post had over 40,000 views and a lot of engagement. And to me, the post was a little bit damaging because it essentially highlighted the fact that it's ridiculous that we still live in a world where resumes hold a lot of value. And it tried to lay claim that things such as LinkedIn profiles and platforms that are up and coming that kind of go off of skills and do personality assessments is starting to disrupt the traditional resume. And this is really damaging because the fact of the matter is, I have consulted with hundreds of companies over the past few years on recruitment best practices. And on their behalf, I review somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 resumes per month. 2,000 to 3,000 resumes per month, about 100 a day, 7 days a week. And what we find is the first thing a company wants to know still today is, does their resume match up with what we're looking for? And does the resume give a good explanation of who they are? Now, whether you like it or not, the job market economy is still driven by the employers. Now, I know that in most industries, job seekers, employees, etc., are in more demand than finding a new job, meaning supply and demand is in the favor of the job seeker, the applicant. But unfortunately, the employer still holds the job. And unless there is a massive mindset shift across the industries, we're not going to see that change because employers have an employer monopoly on jobs and they all work in the same way. They all want to see the resume and make sure it aligns with their skill set. So your resume is your first impression. And if you fail to get it right, it will prevent you from getting the jobs you want. Now, on the same token, a fantastic resume will not land you the job of your dreams, but it will get you the interview that can help you land the job that you really want. And so some of the things that I think you need to be aware of when you're looking at your resume is you need to see if it's lacking in any of these areas. Area number one, is your resume strong in keywords? Does it have keywords that are specific to the job that you are applying for? A lot of people get this wrong. A lot of people have what I call a generalist resume. In new AI screening softwares, specifically for larger companies, is looking at resumes and quickly screening them and then putting out a score to see how relevant they are to a job. And if your resume isn't specific, even if you have all of the right skill sets, but even if you don't have the right keywords and frequent and often in comparison to other words, then your resume could be in danger of being screened out, even if you're qualified. The other thing you need to be aware of is your resume data centric? Does it have a lot of numbers? A good resume will have 2 or 3 bullet points per position, which we'll get to in a second, that has a good amount of data that's very specific, not rounded up data, not rounded down, specific data. This is important to be on your resume. And the number one reason is because employers, as much as 40% of employers on a recent survey said that they think people lie on their resume. And even in the article I was referencing earlier on LinkedIn, is they said exactly that they believe that people fabricate the truth on their resume. And so you can get around this bias by simply having specific data that would be nearly impossible to lie about. And it will make you more believable and also more impressive, because certain jobs that we recruit for and that employers are looking to fill requires experience with a certain volume, size, production, depending on what types of positions you're applying for. So be sure, regardless of industry that you're in, to find places to add numbers. This is true for the executive as much as it is for the person that's coming out of their first job at a staff level. If you have something that you can add in a data-centric way, do it. The third thing that we need to make sure that we have is a clean and readable format for your resume. Forget the one-page resume. That stuff doesn't matter. What really matters is that each job is clear to see what your company was that you worked for, what your job title was, and then a list of bullet points, at least 5 to 8 bullet points that show perfectly what you've accomplished. And we're going to get more to the content in a second here, but it's important to have your greatest accomplishments there. And it should be in a clean format like that, with an easy to read company, easy to read job title, easy to read bullet points. Now, after we have that, we must have some good content that represents not only your hard skills and accomplishments in data, but also the soft skills that you learned, acquired, and that were necessary at each job. These are the bullet points that should be in your resume. It's important to have the soft skills. Over 60% of employers state that soft skills are as important as hard skills when they're evaluating a new hire. So show them that in your resume. Now, I want to add in a little bonus tip here, because I've been getting it more and more ever due to furloughs and layoffs and stuff like that that happened due to the pandemic. And should you add positions of short tenure on your resume? And my answer is yes and no. If you held the position for a full quarter, 3 months, I would absolutely put it there. And if you have had a gap in employment, I would definitely add it in there so that you don't have to address the gap and then come back and say, well, I didn't put this on my resume, but I worked here. The other thing you have to be careful of is I had one particular individual that worked at a job for 1 month. He left it off his resume. When he got an offer at his next employer, he was just about to accept when he got a call telling him his offer was rescinded. What had happened was someone within the company had worked with him for that 1 month that he was at the other company. And when they said that they worked with him there, they looked at the resume, saw it wasn't on there, and began to think that he would be someone that's deceitful and therefore not worthy of being hired. Now, whether you agree with that or not, I'm not here to make that case. But what I am here to tell you of is you have to be careful. But if you've been at a job for a month and you left and you have no gap in employment, you might find value in not putting it there. But that's for you to decide. You have to really think critically about these things in all scenarios. And so if you found all of this useful, great. If you're feeling a bit overwhelmed, that's okay. And that is why we made this for you, is because we're doing something very, very, very special. We often charge as much as $1,000 to do resume formatting. But for a really limited amount of time, I'm not sure exactly how long we're going to do this because we have a limited amount of resources and I want to work on most of the resumes myself. We're going to offer our resume formatting services for $397. And you can either pay that in full or you can pay it in installments. And if you're interested in doing that, just follow the directions laid out for you below. And if you have questions for us, you can drop us an email. You should find my email on the page, but if you don't, it's K as in kite, R-I, S as in Sam, at P-R-E-E, eminent, E-M-I-N-E-N-T, recruitment.org. And I'll look forward to speaking with you soon and very, very excited to help you out here. Please take advantage of this because next time you see this offer, it could be as much as $1,000 and maybe outside of your grasp. And it makes the world of difference. It is less than your monthly grocery bill, but it could make a massive impact in getting those jobs that you want. So don't take this lightly. 2 nights out with your family, getting dinner cost the same as getting your resume in check, which will then get your career in order. And I have seen other platforms and people with far less credentials than myself out there formatting resumes for over $3,000. I don't believe in that, but I do believe in helping you out. Please take advantage of this. Talk to you soon.